Hello, welcome back to Tripping Through the 60s. I'm your host, Randy Newby. It's been a couple of days since I last made this video, so I thought we'd talk a little bit about, once again, back to the 60s. First off, I thought we would talk about what things cost back in those days. You know, it's not like today, like houses. Houses today, just ridiculous prices on homes. You know, 300,000-400,000, and you're getting a kind of average house, I believe. But back in 1969, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, just plain simple little house was around $28,000. You know, and now you look at that same house today, and you're probably upwards of I don't know, 280. Up to 400,000. Isn't that crazy? It is to me. So, you know, I guess you got to look at the way life was income-wise. Average salary in 1969 was around $8,000 to $10,000. Oh my gosh. Today's average salary, I think it's like around $85,000 to $100,000, you know? Obviously, a little fluctuation in the cost of living. Things always go up, but you know, when you look at it, the house is still the same. It didn't change, you know. Maybe they added something in the backyard, or I don't know, updated the appliances, but you know, the earth didn't change. But it seems like somebody said, hey, we need to get more money for this. So they did. But anyway, and that is going into compare just like what automobiles cost back in those days. In 1969, a Corvette, which was an expensive car, was around $4,200 as compared today. Holy crap. Oh, pardon my language. Holy crud. I don't know, what's a 2025 Corvette? $85,000, you know? Is that ridiculous or what? I mean, to me it is, you know, but food prices, you know, we used to be able to go on a date with $5. That meant you could take your girlfriend, go get a couple of cheeseburgers, fries, couple of Cokes, okay? You could go to the movie, eat popcorn, candy, Cokes, whatever, and put gas in your car, all for about $5. $5 won't get you anywhere today. So, you know, but that's how life was back then. Yeah. I remember when Taco Bell first came to Amarillo. I think tacos were like 10 cents right in there. They weren't real expensive. You know, nothing was, but we thought, you know, wow, that's awesome. You know, I'd go to Wiener Schnitzel. My favorite, mustard, sauerkraut dogs. Oh my gosh, they were my favorite. Yeah, they were like 24 cents, maybe. I could be high on that price. But anyway, no doubt about it, you know, things cost a whole lot less in the 60s. Even though there was probably times we thought they were pretty high. I guess back then, wives didn't work as much. Now, I don't want anybody to get mad at me, because if your mom or grandmother did work, well, that's another story. But usually the dad worked all the time. He was the breadwinner. You know, at least it was in my house. Now, there was times that my mom did work during Christmas. She worked at Sears in the accounting department, I believe it was. But that was just to make a little extra money for Christmas. You know, there was 3 of us, my brother, sister, and I. I loved Christmas. I remember getting bicycles at Christmas. Thought that was the best thing ever, you know. One Christmas, my parents bought my brother and sister and I all English racers. They were made by Raleigh. They weren't real expensive. They were 3-speed, but Steve and I, my brother and I, ours were black, if I remember right. And my sister, Lynn, hers was purple. But that kind of goes with the girl thing, you know. But anyway, getting back on that, I thought that was the best thing ever. Bicycles. And then one year I got a Schwinn with a banana seat. Y'all remember those? And the butterfly handlebars. Woohoo! We were highfalutin then, you know, living high on the hog. One thing also I wanted to mention, I've been telling everybody, hey, if you got a comment, email me. You don't have to email. I didn't even think about it. Just leave it in the comments, you know. Right down below here, there's comments, share comments, and whatever's over there. But please, I do want you to like and subscribe. That helps my channel. Hey, it makes me feel a little better that y'all are watching and maybe got some ideas. So if you do have a suggestion, please leave it in the comments. And we'll talk about it, you know, whatever we can. But I just kind of wanted to touch a little base today just about what things cost back in those days. You know, there's a lot of things I'm leaving out, of course, but I mean, groceries were inexpensive. And not only that, we had paper sacks. Y'all remember that? Didn't have any of these plastic bag things, you know. I didn't know any plastic trees existed. But, you know, paper sacks, well, that's how we had to carry everything. And you used to get a whole lot for the amount, for $1. Oh my gosh. Especially gum, candy. You know, I remember at TG&Y, they actually had gum for half a cent. So you had to buy 2 for a penny. Wow, listen, that was pretty good. That was not bad. And dentist, you know, a dentist had to love we kids back in those days because you're talking about cavities, you know. But they had this one little gum ball. I just loved it. It was kind of blue and it had sparkles on it. Of course, that was sugar, you know. Double bubble gum, I think it was called. You know, the kind you always got had a little cartoon on the inside of it. I think that's what it was, or Hubba Bubba or something like that. But anyway, that's why I just mentioned about TG&Y, because candy was so inexpensive back in those days. God, it was great. At least I thought so as a young kid. And that was back in the early 60s. In the late 60s, 69, I was a senior in high school. So, and by the way, if I'm sounding a little clogged up, I don't know why. Some allergies must have blown in today. Go figure, you know. And, but anyway, that's about all I had to say in this podcast today. But if you got any comments, hey, please say them down here. There's a little comment box. Please like and subscribe. I would appreciate that very much. And as I always say, in the words of John Lennon, give peace a chance. Have a great day.